Hi!
Hello! I'm Yuki from Ordinary Family.
And I'm Judy from Raw and Green Wellness Coaching. And together, we are
Digby
Busi-Talk.
We're getting better and better.
Thank you for joining us here today. Yuki and I have had a very busy summer.
Yes.
Very busy. I'm sure you have as well.
Yes.
And we just had a couple of things, interesting, diverse topics that I think we're going to meld together quite nicely today.
Right. Yeah, well, we always have a challenge to pick the topic. But today's conversation, some volunteer work came in. We do a lot of volunteer ourselves too, but also we work with volunteers who help us too. So business and volunteer, there are lots of ways to talk about it, but why we recommend you to do the volunteer, especially here. Do you have any idea?
Well, you give back to your community, and that's essential. Our communities are about connecting people within the community, and oftentimes that requires volunteer work. You know, not everything is a profit-driven enterprise, and there's a lot of opportunities. And when we pitch it, it's natural. You know, natural. When you get together with the family for Christmas, when you have the big family, everybody just pitches in and does what needs to be done. That's the essence of volunteering in a community. It's just everybody pitches in to get the job done, and we all feel better for it. And we all benefit from it.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, and we all learn as we're going. You know, I remember.
Point in the smallest community, family.
Right.
We all volunteer, right? We help each other.
Yeah. No one gets paid to be part of the family.
Right. And then quite often you just do volunteering. Not your mom always tell what to do, but you, here's a little bit mess, I'll clean up. Pile of dishes, I take care of that.
Right.
That's the volunteer.
It is. Yeah. It's just getting things done that need to be done.
That's right.
And a little more structured, you take it a little bit further, then there may be a church group or a service organization or the school where they decide, okay, we want to do this. Collectively, we want to have a barbecue. Right. Well, there are roles within that team that need to be filled. And the interesting thing that came out this morning when we were chatting was that doesn't matter if you are building a team for business or you're building a team for volunteering at whatever level, some of the roles are exactly the same.
Yes. That's the whole point, because we're talking about business through this series. Basically, we both came to the same idea. When you do business, you need to know that teamwork, how things work together.
And the structure.
That's right.
Right, because you need to know what roles are being filled so you can hire the right people for those roles. And when you're putting together a volunteer team, you need to be able to choose the people for the right roles, or choose people that can be grown into those roles. Because sometimes people have a natural aptitude, but they don't necessarily have all the skills that they need yet, but they can learn that.
That's right, that's the whole point,
Exactly.
So the roles, talking about roles, I just made a little cheat sheet, but I'll ask Judy first. What do you think? What kind of roles?
Well, I think the one that you hit on earlier, Yuki, is that you need somebody who's the visionary. You know, somebody the leader who knows where you want to go and has a good idea, plan to get there.
Have a vision and then show the vision.
Exactly. Exactly. You always need somebody. You need your money person. You always need somebody who's going to manage the income and output for whatever you're doing.
No matter what you do, everything costs money.
Everything costs money, and you have to make sure that you can cover that. You also always need the person who is your public relations or your advertising. You know,
you're working with people and with the community, and so with a business or community event. Same thing.
Exactly.
Project, yes.
You've got to get the word out. And I would even posit that some of these soft skill roles are ones that people in official role capacities might fill as well. But there are things like the peacekeeper. You know, the person who can help smooth over the rough edges between personalities.
So it works like a lubricant. Take care of the human relationship.
That's right. Exactly.
And that person can be an important part to make the negotiation sometimes.
Yes. Absolutely. They'll have the skills for negotiations. Absolutely. Are there other skills that you can think of off the top? Oh, she's looking at her cheat sheet.
Well, and then it comes to the specific skills.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need a carpenter, for example, somebody
Yes.
handy with woodwork, or cooking,
Yes.
or babysitting.
Yes.
So if you have somebody who knows what to do, oh, I know how to make popcorn, and then that's the person you want.
They're on popcorn.
That's right. Yeah, then you don't have to worry about it, right? So professional, sort
Yes.
of.
Yeah.
Accounting can be one of the professional,
Yes.
but also I think financial is really core
Yes.
skill, no matter
It
what.
is.
So
It is.
we
But
separate it.
but even in that, there are different roles within financial. That I mean,
Sure.
you don't have to be a certified chartered accountant to be able to keep the books
That's
in
right.
a simple spreadsheet
Yeah.
with
You just
money
have
that's-
to be very tedious and
Yeah, you have to be methodical.
detail-oriented,
That's
yeah.
right. Like with Fresh Food Box, we just manage all of that in a spreadsheet, and
That's right,
and
yeah.
it's simple inputs, simple outputs.
And some people love to do that.
Absolutely.
Some people hate
Mhm.
it. So again, going back, if you are aware there are certain rules, well, going back to the leader, who's a leader, and then financial,
Yep.
and then public relationship,
Right.
and what did I say? The hands, the certain skills,
Mhm.
and then we also said that the type of person. Who,
Yes.
like a peacemaker. you say.
Peacemaker. Yeah, a peacemaker.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And observers might be close to that
Yeah,
portion.
exactly.
If they step out and look at it and then see.
And I've seen very effective having a mother hen, somebody who really cares about the emotional health of the people in the team.
That's the foundation. Yeah, emotional foundation.
Yeah,
of
the
team.
emotional
Yeah,
foundation.
yeah.
Exactly. It's really funny when you
Yeah.
start to think about these different roles, and then you look at the teams that you're interacting in, and you'll start to pinpoint, and you'll point out, oh, they're that role, or they're that role, or it might be a role that we haven't spoken about because there's
That's
lots of them.
Yeah. And another thing, they just listen to what, and one more thing, if possible, it's a great asset is a mentor.
Yes.
Somebody who has experiences.
Yes.
So not actively involved into the action team,
Mhm.
but somebody who has the expertise.
Yep.
And then you can, when you come up with some challenges,
Mhm.
you can go and talk, and then
Yep.
quite often just the conversation or
Yep,
their
absolutely.
advice really.
And sometimes, like if you're forming a group in an area that you may not have subject matter expertise, you can have somebody who is a consultant for you
Right.
on that. They may not be a full-fledged member of your team, but you bring them in to bring everybody up to speed on that subject matter. And I really like one that you had talked about is especially when you have volunteer groups in the community, if you're trying to really get something done, and Yuki and I are working on something with volunteers right now, and we've identified that we really need a champion in the political arena.
Right.
We need somebody who is hooked into the municipal and town level politics
That's right.
to get their support for the
Yeah.
project that we're working on.
Yeah, yes. And actually, when you start really doing the projects and in business, you start realizing that's a powerful connection.
Yes.
And if somebody has that channel to that area, it makes many things going smoothly, and then
It does.
yeah, it gets
It
support.
does. And they're often in a key position of knowing who the leaders are within the
That's
community, and so they can very quickly pull in and say, oh, you need to talk to
Right.
this person, or you need to talk to that person. Here, let me hook you up.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
let me make the introductions, and that's huge.
Yes,
That's
yes,
huge.
yes. So they can become your advisor too. Actually,
Yeah.
it's very, very beneficial.
Absolutely.
Very grateful. Yes.
Absolutely.
So we are talking about volunteer.
Yeah.
And we talked about the volunteer project, but we can see literally it reflects a lot of business components. So by doing volunteer work or being involved into the team to do any events or whatsoever, you actually learn a lot of essential
Essential skills.
things. Yeah, skills
Absolutely.
for business.
Yeah, and we often recommend to people in school and young people that they do a lot of volunteer work because it gives them skills they can put on their resume. I'm not a big fan of unpaid internships. I think if you're actually doing a job in a business, you should be getting paid for it. But like the co-op programs for university and high school are very awesome opportunities to go in a quasi-official role where you are partly volunteering but partly getting paid to learn skills, essential skills, and those are really, really important.
I think it's very beneficial. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's interesting because Are we ready for a segue into the next?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure we didn't lose anything on that. So we were talking, and both of us are real advocates for volunteering because we personally have gotten so much out of volunteering. You know, you meet people, and your sense of self-worth is elevated, and you're giving back to your community, and you see your community being stronger because of your actions. I mean, there's nothing wrong, like there's no bad in that equation.
No.
But unfortunately, that opportunity is often not available to those who are considered poor in our society. You know, and unless you have lived a life where you literally are not sure if you're going to be able to cover your next bill or if you're going to be able to feed your children that week, you don't understand the overwhelming paralyzing mind state that puts you in. And the consequences of that are horrendous, because not only do you not have enough money to buy nutritious food, so your health, your physical health can be in danger, your mental health, because of the stress, is in danger.
If something happens, you have no backup, money to cover anything. It's very scary.
Exactly, and the stats that came out recently said that the average Canadian is only $200 away from insolvency. That means having to go bankrupt because there's no way you can get out of it. That's crazy. So there is other benefits or hindrances too to being poor, is that you're not getting out, you're not socializing, you are becoming isolated, which makes you more susceptible to addictions, which again is bad for our economy, bad for our communities, because all of these things cost. If you're in the hospital for mental or physical, or because of addictions, or perhaps crime. All of these things are very negative in our society.
Simply put, if you don't have money, extra money, than just a survival, just to just keep you stay alive, you don't have a lot of opportunity, luxury to have some opportunities to interact with people, educated, and then on and on. So it's not because you are lazy, but you are huge. It's a huge handicap, I think.
Absolutely.
No money, and then
and here in it's not just Nova Scotia. It's throughout our Western world. We have something that's been characterized as a Victorian poorhouse mentality, and I really like Brenda's book. Yes. Wholesome Horror, I think is what it's called, about the poorhouses in Nova Scotia. I had an interesting conversation with people who actually, their uncle had run one of the last poorhouses locally here, and we will always have a segment of our society that's not able to work, whether it's mental illness, physical illness. There's always going to be people who cannot work. There always has been, there always will be. It does not make them less than anyone else. There can be people who cannot work during a certain point in their life. This is just reality. Doesn't make them less than. And when we put the onus back on them, that there's something wrong with them because they don't make a certain amount of money, that is on us. That is wrong. It is erroneous, and we have to just simply stop thinking like that. So please, if you catch yourself thinking that way, please stop. It has nothing to do with the person. In fact, there's a tax on being poor. It costs you more to be poor. A lot of times people don't have enough money to actually go to work. They have no money for transportation. They have no money to dress the way that's expected at work, and especially they're not fed well. Health conditions. They don't have money for childcare.
That's another thing, big thing.
That's a huge thing. Huge thing. Absolutely. So we have that going on. And then so those people they may have time on their hands, but they don't have the self-esteem and self-respect to be able to necessarily go out and put themselves out there where they feel like they're being judged and volunteer in the community, even though volunteering in the community would help their self-esteem. So we have that issue. We also have the issue now in North America, because technology is advancing so quickly. We have so many jobs being lost to automation that we have fewer jobs available. In rural Nova Scotia, we have seasonal jobs where you only are working in tourism in the summer, or you're in fisheries in the summer. And limited logging and that sort of thing. It's all resource based, and it's all dependent on the season, so it's only seasonal employment. So we have issues with the way our society is structured, but a lot of those would be resolved with something called guaranteed livable income. And it doesn't mean you're giving people thousands and thousands of dollars. It doesn't mean that.
I don't mind.
No, exactly, I know. But it's enough to cover their housing,
Basics,
you know, their very basics, so that they can catch a breath.
That's right.
And that,
you need a good sleep.
Yes.
And decent nutrition.
Exactly.
Right?
Free from
Peace of
stress.
mind. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so all those problems that I just listed are all alleviated. The MinCon is a trial that was done in Dauphin, Manitoba. Check it out. It's on Wiki. MinCom, minimum.
Income.
Yeah, minimum.
Income.
Yeah, MinCom. It and there's been others around the world as well. But the things that they found were that people had higher nutrition, they were physically healthier, less stress, mentally healthier, addictions went down.
Because you always think about the healthy food.
Exactly. I know we always come back to healthy food. Crime went down. People stayed in school longer and got their educations. All of these things that are better for our communities overall were because of a guaranteed livable income. In Canada, we're partway there in terms of funding it because of our current social programs. All we need to do is take away the punitive aspect of those and pull in a comprehensive a guaranteed livable income, and even targeted for our seniors. You know, our seniors need a supplement. They're not making above a minimum wage.
Sure, yeah.
And most companies don't offer pensions any longer. And that used to be a mainstay. CPP and old age security was all about supplementing a work pension, but those pensions aren't often even an option anymore. And our minimum wage hasn't even kept up with the cost of living. We're about half what it should be.
That's right. Yeah.
Which puts us all into a bad situation. But with a guaranteed livable income, we actually I would even posit that it would save us money in the long term. When you look
as a country,
as a country, it would save us money in the long term, and our population would be healthier, would be happier, and would be out volunteering more, would be taking the step and maybe trying to have a new business.
I like the name, livable basic income. So we take care of our basics to make us livable and then alive. Right?
That's right, exactly. And that's what we talk a lot about our rural Nova Scotia communities dying. Well, we need to revitalize them. You know,
it takes time and of course money. Exactly.
You know, so it's funny. I heard this quote. People are always saying, you know, well, we have to have a solution for poverty. Have to have a solution for poverty. Well, guess what? The solution for poverty is money.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know, simply money. And we have to look at the cost to the community of poverty. But when we had to tie it all around again, see how sneaky I am? When people are having those basic needs met, they are inclined to give back. You know, they don't sit on their couch and be lazy. They're inclined to get out in the community and give back. And volunteer.
That's true.
And gain skills and share skills and grow.
Seed for the future potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So eat healthy.
Yes, always.
That's what we are in this business. Anyways, but I know it's a challenge, but we just have to keep thinking and keep looking for a better.
That's right. Better opportunities. Yeah. Exactly.
And just don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't give up. And with volunteering, what Yuki and I are working on is actually finding a way of pooling our volunteers and training them in the skills that they need to be able to do strategic, targeted volunteer for different organizations, rather than everybody trying to manage their own volunteers. And we in Nova Scotia have Volunteer Nova Scotia, which is a database online that is collecting the names of volunteers, and
they're self-claiming.
What
they want to do.
That's right.
And what they can do, I think, to a degree.
But we'd like to see if there's a way of evaluating what roles they can play in the teams, and offer training to help people get more information or more skills in the different areas.
Yes.
And all of this will help all of the organizations that require volunteers.
Yeah. The bottom line is, in my opinion, we don't have time and luxury to just fool around. We have very limited resources in this area.
Yes.
And I'm not scared, but I'm clearly aware we have very limited resources, which means we can afford waste. So if like Judy is good at presentation or Judy is good at speaking in public, utilize it. Don't put her into the cleaning, the room, or she does a good job too.
I can do that too,
but she utilize her strengths for the most effective way. And then if I like doing little things and scrubbing the pot very tediously.
Yuki is a visionary. This is where we need Yuki.
So utilize that person. Don't put me in public to speak with you, like a university level English. Okay, that's a wrong way to use me. So we utilize that person's strengths.
Yes.
And then get the best spot for that person.
Exactly, and put them in positions where they're set up to succeed, not putting them somewhere that they're not suited, even though that may be somewhere that they really want to be, but they just don't have the skills for it yet.
That's right.
But just tag them as needing some upgrading. So we're talking a little bit about with Inspiring Communities, which is now turning the tide.
Turning the tide, okay.
I think so. Here in Digby, and seeing if we can, it's very early days, but seeing if we can structure a program in which we can provide some support, as well as make it easier for organizations that require volunteers to be able to pull them from the pool and have them already vetted and have them already understand what skills these volunteers have. Because sometimes it's not just about having the bodies.
Well, I mean, you are busy.
Yeah.
And on the top, if you have to, each group has to look for their own volunteer.
Yeah, and vet them all and figure out where they fit. Yeah, exactly.
But if there's already existing body who's already pooling the people who want to volunteer and giving them some training, they are ready to go and help whoever they can help. So
that's right. And that also helps us silo bust because we're cross-pollinating between all of the different groups.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we're having that interaction. So you might be working with, Bethany Bin one day, and you might be working with, Conway Workshop, or you may be working with one of the churches. And so you're connecting, the people are connecting within the communities, and we can start rebuilding those bonds within the communities.
And that's a huge resource sharing, which is beneficial to everybody, in my opinion. I strongly believe that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about the idea?
Let us know in the comments below.
But we dream big, so.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
But these are early days, but this is just kind of where we've seen that things aren't working as efficiently as possible, and this is where we're at so far in the thought process as to where we think it should go. Let us know what you think. Please. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And if there's any success, we want to really encourage young people.
Yes.
We want to educate and train. Well, not just young people, but especially young people.
Yeah.
So they have more tools and then resources, assets to go to whatever they have to explore. But that's my pleasure to support them too.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's about building for future generations.
Yes. And it comes back to the business.
Yes, always. It's
business. You all need a skill, so nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted. Yeah.
So to volunteer. That's today's point.
I think so. we kind of came around it a couple of different ways. Yeah. But that's our thoughts for today. Yes. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Yes.
Okay, signing off from Digby.
Yes.
Digby Busi-Talk.
Yes. So see you next time.
Bye-bye.